Welcome back everybody to Tony's Top Tips Workshop. Today's videos, it's it's a problem that I've encountered with the Genmitsu 4040 Pro, but it's apparently there's quite a number of other users out there that's purchased this machine that's having the same problem. Mine's been spot on ever since I got it, and I was one of the first, probably in the UK, to get this machine. I did an unboxing, I've done various videos after that. I did find faults. First thing I found was electrical fault with the power input plug shorting out against the cage, the framework, and it stopped the touch probe working. It was faulting all the time. I sorted that out. I sent them the fix. They didn't know about it. I sent them what I'd done to cure it. They realised that, did Sainsmart, that there was probably about 100 machines affected by this fault, and that if I put it out that if people willing to rectify the fault like I did, them that's got the machine, they'll refund them $20. I put that out there. Whether people did, I don't know. I've never had any feedback on that to say that people have done that. That fault was, as they said, there was 100 machines. We've no way of knowing that there was only 100 machines with that fault. But as I say, I rectified mine, problem solved, but it shouldn't have come out of the factory like that. Quality control. I've had other little issues, but I've done videos on those. If people connect and watch my videos, you'll see what problems I had. The other one that has prompted me to do this video is about the Z-axis. Now, the Z-axis assembly on this is virtually bolt on and bolt off. We're not on about the X-axis part that moves, we're on about the Z-axis. On numerous occasions on my social media accounts and what have you, the number of people that's having problems with flex on the actual Z-axis rods and the bearings. Now, I didn't have any of that, and I stated in my previous videos, you know, if I don't have the fault, I can't rectify anything and I can't advise anybody. Mine's been spot on, and they're all complaining about, if you're probably a majority of you aware of it, that the bearings are loose and there's a lot of flex. So the bigger the motor you put on, like if you end up with, I've got a 500 watt brushed motor, not a brushless. They're quite heavy, but if you put something like Makita on, or a DeWalt, they're even heavier. You're going to end up problems, because you're virtually not going to get it perpendicular to the frame or to the bed, and when you're cutting, what you'll do is you'll get a lot of vibration, chatter. So what I was doing a project a couple of weeks ago, and I thought probably just a bit longer, and on this project I was cutting whatever material. I've forgotten what the material was. I can't remember whether it were a beech 18mm plywood, and I thought, that's vibrating a lot. I mean, you always have a little bit of vibration in this because the spindle motor and the fan on it, they're not the Chinese, and they're not balanced correctly. And I thought, there's something wrong here. Lo and behold, when I looked, I'll show you in a minute, one of the bearings had dropped out. Now, for that to drop out, they should be in nice and firm. And I looked, and there looked to be something round it, like, I don't know whether it were the Loctite type fluid, I don't know. But obviously, I've used it a bit, and the bearing had come out. We talk about sloppy, wasn't the word. So I've been reading this on my social media accounts, and there's bits and bats on YouTube about it, but not too much. And I thought, I'll notify Sainsmart. So I notified Sainsmart about this problem. In the meantime, I thought maybe I've done something, a bit of vibration, I don't know. So what I did was I just pressed the bearing back, cleaned it all up, pressed the bearing back in with a bit of super glue, and it's in there fine. It's very difficult to move, and it seems alright at the moment. But I did get onto Sainsmart, told them about the problem, and I did get a response. I've always had a response. I can't say they've shied away from trying to sort me out, because that's one thing they haven't done. The customer service, I found personally, being absolutely first class. You know, they sent me motherboards for the LC40, the engraver. That wasn't the problem. I ended up solving that problem for them. But anyway, back to the CNC, diversing there a bit. And the response I got back from them was, and it was probably a couple of days later, I got an email stating, would I send them videos and send them the comments that people's put on my social media account, asking me did I know about this, and I genuinely couldn't answer them because I've not experienced it. So I sent them a prompt reply back and saying, look, I am going to do a video on this, because it seems that it's something that you know, the people out there, the users, should know about. If they're not having the problem, they could have problems. So I said I will be doing a video. However, I've cured the problem by super gluing the bearing back in. That I shouldn't have had to have done that. There should be a nice press fit those, and I said, but the other thing is, sending you a video can't, because I've put it back in, so I can't send you that. And the other thing is, I'm not sending you requests from on my social media accounts, because they're personal to me. I'm not sending you that. I said, just leave it. I said, I hope it don't get any worse or it drops out again, but I'll sort this out in the video. I left it at that. Didn't request Z-axis assembly whatsoever. I wanted to know what their makeup of the fault would be, and what they would recommend on rectifying it. Lo and behold, a few days later I get an email. They're sending me a complete Z-axis assembly. I thought just a replacement one. No charge. They were sending me this, and it'd be with me shortly. And sure enough, yesterday the Z-axis assembly arrived. Now I'll show you in a bit more depth. It is the upgraded one. Now I didn't know what an upgraded one would be, what it entailed, but there are some differences which I will show you. And a lot of people have actually asked me, how do I know if I've got the upgraded one on my machine, or if they're just putting out the one that's everybody's having fault with. I didn't know, but I do know now. But going back to Sainsmart's answer to my problem, yes, they've sent me it. Now I was reading an email from a gentleman that bought his in December. Now I think I've had mine a bit longer than that, being one of the first that had it in this country. And when he shows you the video on social media, it's horrendous. If I was saying that there were a flex from back to front of, from the point of the cutter, an inch, I think I'll be on the low side. It's horrendous is the play in the Z-axis. He sent them videos, he sent them what the problem is, and they said it's acceptable movement. I'm telling you now, that is not acceptable. That movement that he has on his is definitely not acceptable. If he cuts anything on that with a fine cutter and takes a bit too much meat off, let's put it that way, material, is a good chance of breaking that cutter. And if it's going at 20,000 RPM or whatever speed it's going, that broken piece of cutter is going to go somewhere. Make no bones about it, don't always end up in your timber material, whatever you're doing, it's going to come off, because the chatter on it going backwards and forwards would flex the cutter would be trying to cut in one place but be going back and forth. The next thing you know, you've got a broken cutter. It's dangerous. That should be replaced. And in fact, what Sainsmart should do is find out all those that have got this Z-axis assembly on and do a recall and send everybody one. If they're having problems, that is, I'm not saying everyone, but if you're having problems, they should send you one free of charge. This has cost me anything. I didn't ask for it, but they haven't charged me anything. Now, if that was a faulty car, you'd get a recall and it'd be done. You've got to see the video. It's horrendous. I'd just send the machine back and say, sort this out. This is dangerous. In fact, the play on it is enough warrant to go to training standards with that. It's horrendous. But I mean, the gentleman's tried. He can't, and he were asking me about it, and I said it's not acceptable. I can't vouch on mine because I didn't have that play. But they're flexing back and forwards, and he has the original motor in it. So yeah, it's not, you know, it's a good machine, but it isn't good if you're getting faults like this pushed out. It's just quality control, that's all it is, you know. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to take you out to the bench and I'm going to replace mine, and I'll show you now the difference between I'm showing you how you take it off, and then I'll have both of them on the bench side by side, and I'll show you the difference between the upgraded and the original one. Right, we're just over at the machine now. Now what I'll show you is the gentleman that concerned in the video he was holding his standard cutter. I've got a 500 watt in, so it's slightly different, and he was pushing that backwards and forwards. That cutter was moving out. You're talking about from centre, half inch each way, so it's about an inch. It was horrendous. Now if you look at mine, I'm putting quite a lot of force on that. Mine does not flex, so I have nothing wrong with the bearings in here. What the problem I have on mine is this bearing dropped out. It ended up down here. Why or how, I have no idea, but it ended up down here, and I noticed it and I thought, God, that's slopping about. So it was sort of tight a rock like that. The other side sort of fine, but I don't have a bad bearing. The stepper motor creaks a little bit when it goes up and down now and again sometimes, but that wasn't the problem on mine. His was horrendous and it should be replaced. It's dangerous. It's not acceptable, it's dangerous. So, but what I'll do is I'll take you over to the bench now. I'm going to take this off. I mean, all mine are on quick release clips. I put mine on that. I'm going to take this off. I won't show you how to take it off because there's just 2 bolts either side. Disconnect the cables, that lot comes off. And all I shall do then is replace. This will come off mine and go on the new one. So that one would be spare and this will fit that. But I'll show you the difference in why it's an upgraded one. Whether it's any better, I don't know, but we'll go over to the table. Here we are at the table now, and that's my Z-axis and the motor housing that I've just taken off. Okay, there's 2 bolts there, 2 bolts there, disconnect your cables, it all comes off, and then there's just your 2 side bolts either side for your motor housing, of which I'm going to use the original one that I got because there's nothing wrong with that. Right, now this is the new Z-axis that arrived. So what I'll do is I'll take this out, move the packaging away, right. What you can see there is the motor mount, which I will take off so we can see the same. It's structurally, it's what this lacked originally, which Sainsmart should have done, of which they have done now on the new 3030 that they put out, and that is ball screws. It would have made an incredible difference on ball screws. I mean, I like linear rails, don't get me wrong, but if you can't incorporate them on the machine like the design that they've done, that's fine. But ball screws would have made a big difference. You never know, because you still always get a little bit of play in the anti-backlash. So, right, that's the motor mount off, and it has the collar in for the small original motor. So take that away. Right, let's turn it round. You can see straight away there that there is a difference. Not only is a different colour, but I ain't too bothered about that. I'll show you the from top to bottom on that. It's approximately 151 millimeters. That's 140 bang on. So there's 10mm difference in the height of that, or the length of your Z-axis. Okay. The other big difference is, you'll see straight away if I face it that way, put them side by side, the collar housing for the motor is the same. That's that and that. That is the same. I didn't expect that to alter. You can see the actual difference in the frame. It's actually another thickness really of the aluminium profile. But look at the difference in the bearings. There's about 10-11mm difference in the bearing housing. I'll just measure them for you. That is 36mm, the original. Get this right. That's 47. It's about 11mm difference in that. Which, when you consider, if you've got something that because they've increased that by 10-11mm, they have to increase the length of this, because otherwise what you would end up with is you would end up with 10mm less on your Z-axis frame. Does everybody understand that? I hope. So it's obvious that they can't just increase that, they've got to increase the overall size. Now you can purchase these on Sainsmart's website, the upgraded Z-axis. Now whether it fits other machines, I don't know, you know, 3020 or whatever it is, but as I say, the $60 now, if you've got one of the original ones like that, I'm sorry, but you should be given one of these. That shows a mark of respect towards the customers that's purchased them. And as you can see there's not only a difference in the length of the Z-axis framework, there's a difference in length of the end stop bar. That's solely to give you the same sort of working parameters. And you can see that the holes, if you look, the holes there, so they've actually, if you look, the holes for the mounting of the frame are actually the same from the bottom, so they've extended the Z-axis higher in that word by the thickness of the difference of what they put on the bearings, so it's giving you it that way. So mine was on the top housing there, so I will put mine back on the same. It shouldn't make any difference, it just means you've probably got a little bit more height to travel, that's all. But I'm just hoping that people can actually look at this and see the difference to check to see if theirs has got the new upgraded Z-axis assembly on. So just refresh on that. The Z-axis is 10mm thereabouts, probably about the same as that, but 10mm taller. They've done it that way, and the bearing housing's about 11mm longer. That's split from centre, so it's, you know, it's 5.5mm either way, and that's it. That's already. Now, whether, as I say, I didn't have that play on mine. I've just shown you with the video. I didn't have it, and it's been working fine until that bearing dropped out, and I don't know if you can see in there. See if I can get a bit better light on it. It's a bit difficult to see with the lighting in here, but I just pushed it back in, and I knew the other one was roughly at the top, so cleaned it all out, degreased it, obviously because super glue won't stick to it. Just dollop super glue around, and I pushed it up and left it. I left it overnight. When I come back, I can't move that, so I very much doubt it's going to come out again. It's the same stepper motor. There's no difference in that. I was getting a lot of creaking on mine. I mean, if there wasn't a fault with this and you wanted to upgrade to that because you're putting a bit better spindle on, you know, DeWalt or Makita, and you wanted to purchase one, £60 for that piece of machinery, or $60, I don't know what it'd be over here, I haven't checked, with a complete assembly like that with a stepper motor on, is well worth the value. You can't say it's not worth the money, because it is. It's machined. I'm just disappointed. I mean, I've got to put this back on my machine, and it's a different colour. I'm a finicky person for different things being looking differently, but you know, that should have been right in the first place. And I should imagine it's just some tolerances. That's about it. I have on this one a little bit of you can see that, but it's quite common with anti-backlash screws. It works on the assumption that it's taken the play up, so when it moves, it just moves it all as one. And as I say, this has the same on. Can do it. You can see that. But this should make it more of a sturdy machine. And I'll just swap everything over. That will go on there. And while I have this off, remember me having the problem with this collar here that they designed. This is another thing I found. They designed this to go on this machine to fit a 52mm motor, like I have. I purchased it. Now, when I purchased it, this does not have a flat on here. This goes completely round. You can see that. It goes round there. I've machined that off. And the reason why is because that, if you can see, when it goes together, that collar should have had that on. Somebody should have thought about that. It should have had a flat on, because what it was doing was pressing up against that like that. Can you see that curve? Let's show you that. Yeah, you can all see that. I was pressing that like that, and that was up against it. So when it run up here, it tripped out there. Didn't get its full movement. So the limit switches, you can see that curve there. Now that actually, because I put that flat on there, stops that, and you can see, look, it's level with that now, and that's how it should have been. That's another problem I found. It should have been sorted. You shouldn't put anything out that doesn't fit. So, but that's a conclusion to the video. I hope everybody's can understand that there's no difference that way. That is the same. It's not it's a nice piece of machined Z-axis. There's no plastic involved in it really. It's well made. I've noticed that that sticks out more, that doesn't. You notice that? So it comes through the bearing a bit more. Whether that makes a difference, I've no idea. Or whether it's a reason for it. But that protrudes out further than this now, so you've got to be careful of that protrusion, especially if you've got the A-axis on. Make sure that it does clear. It should clear, but make sure it does clear. Well, that concludes the video today. I hope that everybody's it's helped people that are having problems, and I hope it's helped those that are wondering whether they have that Z-axis on, because unless you know what the upgraded one is, how would you know? You wouldn't know how to measure it against anything. So I did put some responses out last night on social media with the measurements, and as I say, the main difference is the size of the bearings, so it should give you more stability that way. It gives you the same movement by increasing the height of the Z-axis frame because of the different length in the bearings housing. Your limit switch bar is different, and I've to be honest with you, I've just noticed that the lead screw protrudes out from the bottom of the machine. Why? I have no idea. Why that it just won't made level, so all you've got is your dome nuts on the bottom. I don't know. I think that is somewhat as an afterthought, because the lead screw stays where it is. It doesn't move in and out. It stays where it is, so I might be ending up taking that out and cutting that off, because I don't like that sticking out. And it's not only that, it's not sharp, but it's something when you put your hand underneath, you bring it up, you can, next thing you know, you end up with a graze on. Well, they should have levelled that. But as I say, let me know in your comments if it's helped you, and that you do have the standard one or the upgraded one, whichever. And if you're having problems, I'll answer you. I always do. And remember, like and subscribe. It makes a difference to me, and I like to hear what people's feedbacks are as well. But until next time, as I always say, be careful, be safe, and bye for now.